The building covers 15,000 square metres over 3 floors, and there are over 2,000 people working in this building in a 24/7 operation. So we needed a good level of lighting in the car park for employee comfort and CCTV operation.
Denise Coates, the richest woman in the United Kingdom and the founder of the Bet365 empire, has just sent a private invitation to Coco Gauff, and it has the tennis world buzzing. This is not a typical sponsorship offer or a standard endorsement pitch. The invitation to the UK Children's Hope Gala hints at something much bigger happening behind the scenes, something that raises serious questions about the future of women's tennis and who is really shaping where the money flows. So here's the big question. When billionaires personally invite young athletes to exclusive charity galas, is it genuine generosity, or is it the opening step in a much larger business strategy? This situation has layers, and most people are only seeing the surface. Let's break down what just happened, because this story is wild in more ways than one. Denise Coates is not a household name for casual sports fans, but she is one of the most powerful figures in global business. She personally invited Coco Gauff to attend the UK Children's Hope Gala. At first glance, it sounds like a feel-good story, a billionaire supporting charity, a rising sports star being recognized. Everything looks positive. But Denise Coates is not just any billionaire. She is the wealthiest woman in the entire United Kingdom, with an estimated net worth of around $7.7 billion. She built that fortune herself by creating Bet365, one of the largest online gambling companies in the world. This was not inherited wealth. This was not a tech company that went viral overnight. She built a betting empire from the ground up, and it now operates in dozens of countries and brings in billions every year. So when someone like Denise Coates personally reaches out to a 20-year-old tennis superstar, not through agents or corporate sponsorship departments, but through a direct invitation, it's worth paying attention. That kind of move is never accidental. It is intentional. And while it may involve charity, it is also strategic. To understand why, we need to understand who Denise Coates really is. She was born in 1967 in Stoke-on-Trent, England, into a family that owned betting shops. Gambling was literally part of her upbringing. She went on to study econometrics, a field that combines economics, statistics, and mathematics, which is about as perfect a background as you can have for understanding betting odds and probability. In the year 2000, she made a bold move. She bought the domain name Bet365.com for about £15,000. Then she convinced her family to mortgage their betting shops to help fund an online betting platform. At the time, most people believed traditional betting shops would always dominate. Online gambling was still new and widely doubted. Fast forward to today, and Bet365 is one of the most successful online gambling companies on the planet. It serves more than 90 million customers worldwide. In the 2022 to 2023 financial year, the company reported revenues of over £3 billion. During that period, Denise Coates paid herself a salary of £270 million, making her one of the highest-paid executives in the United Kingdom. So when someone with that level of power and experience personally invites Coco Gauff to a charity gala, it's not just a polite gesture, it's a calculated move, and that doesn't automatically make it bad. It just means there is more going on than charity alone. Now let's talk about Coco Gauff and why she is such an attractive figure in this situation. Coco is 20 years old and already a Grand Slam champion, having won the US Open in 2023. She is consistently ranked in the top 5 in the world. She has more than 1.5 million followers on Instagram, and that number keeps growing. She is confident, articulate, socially aware, and connects strongly with younger audiences in a way many established players do not. But from a business standpoint, one detail matters more than almost anything else. Coco Gauff is American. The United States sports market is the most valuable in the world, and tennis has struggled in recent years to stay culturally relevant in the U.S. Serena Williams was the last tennis player who truly crossed over into mainstream American culture. Since Serena's retirement, there has been a massive gap that the sport has been desperate to fill.
Coco Gauff is the closest thing tennis has to filling that gap. Companies like Bet365 understand this very clearly. Associating with Coco means access to younger fans, access to American audiences, and access to people who don't normally follow tennis. Traditional tennis sponsorships have struggled to do that. The UK Children's Hope Gala is the setting, but it's not the main point. Charity galas are where relationships begin. They are places where powerful people meet in relaxed, positive environments. No contracts are signed, but impressions are made. Billionaires observe. Athletes are evaluated. Trust starts forming. From Denise Coates' perspective, this makes perfect sense. She runs a gambling empire that generates billions, but gambling companies face constant pressure. There are regulatory challenges, public criticism, and ongoing concerns about addiction, young people gambling, and the integrity of sports. Sports betting in particular carries controversy. So how does a company like Bet365 improve its public image?
You associate with respected athletes. You support children's charities. You create moments that show responsibility and care. Inviting a beloved young athlete like Coco Gauff to a charity event does exactly that. Coco attends, meets influential people, takes photos, and experiences a polished, respectful environment. She leaves with a positive impression, not just of Denise Coates, but of the entire operation surrounding her. Then, months later or even a year later, if Bet365 approaches Coco's team with a sponsorship offer potentially worth tens of millions, that earlier experience matters. It no longer feels like a cold business proposal. It feels like a continuation of an existing relationship. That's how people at this level operate. Now, let's talk about why this matters specifically for women's tennis. The sport is at a difficult crossroads. The level of play has never been higher, but viewership has declined. Prize money has increased, and events like the US Open now offer equal pay to men and women, but mainstream attention has not grown at the same pace. The WTA needs new revenue sources, and gambling companies, controversial as they may be, have enormous marketing budgets and a strong interest in sports partnerships. Bet365 has already invested heavily in sports sponsorships, especially in football. Tennis is a logical next step. Signing someone like Coco Gauff would instantly signal serious commitment to women's tennis. But this is where things get complicated. Should a 20-year-old role model partner with a gambling company? What message does that send to her younger fans? Tennis already has a sensitive relationship with betting due to past match-fixing scandals and strict rules around player involvement. Coco Gauff has built a reputation around integrity, education, climate awareness, and social justice. Any future partnership would need to align with that image or risk damaging it. These are real questions her team will have to face if an offer eventually comes, and given the circumstances, it is very likely that one will. The timing of this invitation also matters. Women's tennis players have been increasingly vocal about compensation, revenue sharing, and long-term sustainability. In that climate, a billionaire personally reaching out sends a message. There is money available, but it comes from powerful private interests. It also puts pressure on other sponsors. It positions Bet365 as a serious player, and it signals a possible shift in how sponsorships are formed. There's also an international angle. Denise Coates is British. Bet365 is a British company. The Gala is in the UK, but Coco Gauff's influence is strongest in the United States. Bet365 has long wanted to expand more aggressively into the US, but sports betting laws vary by state, making expansion complex. Partnering with an American sports star could help with visibility and credibility. Even if Coco never signs a deal, attending the Gala boosts her international profile and places her among influential global figures. From a networking standpoint alone, it's a smart move.
As for the idea that the WTA was shocked, that's likely exaggerated. Organizations like the WTA want major money entering women's tennis. What stood out here was the direct approach. A billionaire skipping traditional channels and going straight to personal relationship building is a power move. Other players are watching closely. If this leads to a major deal, agents will push for similar access for their clients. This could change how sponsorships work in tennis, shifting from corporate pitches to elite personal connections. There's also an international angle worth noting. Denise Coates is 57 years old. Coco Gauff is 20. That 37-year gap makes the invitation even more telling. Denise clearly sees long-term value in Coco, her image, her reach, and her future influence. So that's the real story behind Denise Coates inviting Coco Gauff to the UK Children's Hope Gala, and why it matters. If this breakdown helped you see how these relationships really form, share your thoughts. Do you think Coco Gauff would ever partner with Bet365? Or is the risk too high for her brand? Drop your prediction.